मैंने और एक ऑप्शन ऑन कर दिया है ताकि अगर मान के चलिए मेरा इंटरनेट चला जाता है, आपका चला जाता है, दोनों होस्ट का चला जाता है, तो विदाउट होस्ट भी चलेगा?
नहीं, यहाँ तो नहीं करेगा। यूट्यूब आप शेयर कर देना लिंक।
हाँ, शेयर कर दीजिए।
मेरा ऑडियो आ रहा है तुम्हारे पास?
ऑडियो आप बताइए कुछ।
हेलो, क्लियर है? फोन में नहीं, इसमें जूम में। अच्छा, एक चीज हम शेयर करें यहाँ से, म्यूजिक वाला। देख, हाँ ये अच्छा, मेरा तो डिजेबल हो गया ना मेरे को। अब मेरे को होस्ट बनाना होगा ना, क्यों नहीं तो उनको अलाउ करना होगा ना।
हाँ, एक होस्ट बना देता हूँ। अभी आप होस्ट हो।
अभी ये देखो, टाइमर अगर हम शेयर करते हैं, एक यहाँ से तो ये बंद कर देते हैं हम टाइम, ये स्ट्रीमिंग वाला ना, स्ट्रीमिंग वाला बंद कर देते हैं। हाँ, अब ये देखना, हम शेयर करेंगे। हाँ, शेयर ऑप्टिमाइजर वीडियो, ऑडियो में देखो आ रहा है टाइमर ना। ये पोस्ट बना दे रहा हूँ। ओके। हेलो हेलो। हाँ बना चालू हो गया। अभी कैसा है मम्मी?
वेटिंग दिखा रहा है यहाँ पर बहुत चल रहा है।
एक तो नहीं हम तनु का अलाउ कर दिया और इसको खोज ले रहे हैं। हम पूछ रहे हैं मम्मी कैसा है अभी?
मम्मी ठीक है, दवाई खा के सो रही है। वो क्या बोलते हैं, उसको इलेक्ट्रॉल दिया और 2 मेडिसिन दिया, अभी तो सो रही है। कल रात पूरा ये क्या बोलते हैं उल्टी करते करते कल हम लोग सोए नहीं कोई, ना मैं ना पापा भी आज कैंसिल कर दिया ऑफिस, घर पे ही है।
डॉक्टर दिखाया कि नहीं?
डॉक्टर दिखाया कल रात को हम लोग ये सांस शुरू हुआ था, ठीक है, तो ये डायरिया टाइप का, तो और बुखार भी था थोड़ा रात को आया, तो तुम लोग को थोड़ा डर लगा कि ये कोरोना का भी सिम्टम्स है। तो डॉक्टर दिखाया, डॉक्टर बोला वैसे कुछ नहीं है, कुछ नहीं हुआ, तो दवाई दिया, ठीक है। उसके बाद फिर उल्टी होना शुरू हो गया, बिकॉज ये क्या बोलते हैं वो वैक्सीन बंद करने का दवाई दे दिया, फिर उल्टी शुरू हो गई, फिर वो चला अब तक। उसके बाद सुबह जाके थोड़ा सा नींद आया तो फिर सो गई।
ठीक है, बात कर लेना और थोड़ा सा ये दाब का पानी पिलाते रहो, क्योंकि ग्लूकोज कम हो जाता है ना, इसीलिए। और ज्यादा होगा तो पूछ लेना डॉक्टर से, 1-1.5 बोतल सलाइन चढ़ा देगा। अगर ज्यादा कमजोरी होगा ना तो हो जाएगा। नहीं, इलेक्ट्रॉल से ठीक हो जाएगा। अगर ज्यादा कमजोर, इलेक्ट्रॉल क्या होता है कि 6 घंटा बाद जाके शरीर में लगेगा, ठीक है। और सलाइन देने से क्या होता है ना, इंस्टेंट लग जाता है सलाइन।
विनोद जी आप म्यूट कर लेंगे प्लीज। मैं जेम्स सर को ले रही हूँ इन।
ओके ओके तनु जी।
11:15 हो गए। खराब।
तो ऑफिस जा रही है ना? हाँ?
मतलब तू किधर जा रहा है? अभी
हाँ तो 2 बजे। मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ?
2 मिनट रुक, मेरे को ये पहले सुप्रीति को अंदर लेना। Can speak.
Let them start. Hi, I'm
Good
Preeti.
morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sukirti, you're there?
Good morning, everyone. I am there. I am just setting up the video properly.
Okay. Good morning, James sir. We have Sukirti. She will be the moderator here today, and she will introduce you, sir, and also like in the last 20-30 minutes, she will take question and answers from the students, and she will be addressing it to you, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
But the video is not yet started. Shika, the video is not yet started.
No, they haven't.
You all have not started streaming your video, huh?
Yes, sir. We have kept the students in the waiting room. We are just checking our cameras, and all the students are in the waiting room as of now. 11:30 sharp, so we will take them in.
Is it enough light?
Yes, yeah.
Sir, can we have a little bit more light?
1 minute. Just do this. Just take out these things soon. Yeah? Is that better?
Yes, sir. Much better, sir. Much better. Yes, sir. This is perfect.
Okay. So the first session will be for how long? 1.5 hours, you would say.
Yes, sir. So around half an hour to 45 minutes, sir, if you want to talk about your journey, your experiences in the industry, plus with regards to whatever work and all, we can talk about that. Then, sir, we can start the draping part, and then we'll take the Q&A, sir.
Okay. But I feel, don't you think, see, the first time what I'm doing is I'm going through my life as a designer, and I will also be telling them a few points they have to use to be a designer and what it takes to be a designer. So at the end of that, then I should take question and answers. And then the next session, when I'm doing the draping of the choli and the churidar, I would like question and answer again.
Sure, sir. This also works, sir. So
Yeah,
as you're
because then at
comfortable,
least,
and
and
this
please tell
definitely
your
works.
children that usually I'm going to say it to them first, but they don't ask questions. They're all, they all never ask questions in classes, and I think that's very sad. Because, the most important thing for us to connect with them is to be able to tell them what they want. And if they don't know and if they don't ask questions, it's very weird for us to say things.
True, sir. Sir, we'll be having a lot of questions, sir.
Good, because that's what I want. Because otherwise, I did the same thing with INIFD, and there were very few questions from, I think there were about 300 students, but they had very few questions. But one thing I'm glad is that all your students have started to, do a bit of research on me, which is important, because then at least they know what they are getting into.
True, sir. True, sir. True, sir. Sure, sir. We can have more Q&A time. We'll keep that for a longer period, sir, then.
Yeah, I think so. So for the first one, I'll speak for about an hour, and then we'll keep 30 minutes for them to do question and answers, and then I'll also talk simultaneously. And the second one, what I'm doing is I'm going to teach them how to do the basic churidar out of the lifafa, and how to use draping on a dummy, how to cut a fitted choli on a dummy.
Perfect, sir. Perfect. So because we have a mix of both students who are already currently with us, plus students who are, thinking of joining fashion design and making it like a career for themselves. So we have both these crowds, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So Kirti, I hope you're hearing this conversation.
Yes, ma'am, I'm hearing.
Yeah. So, sir, like sir said, we'll first have his journey, a quick Q&A, draping, and then a Q&A again.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So in another 7 to 8 minutes, we'll start taking students in.
Okay.
Ma'am, I'm also trying to join from another device. Please add me. This is just to be on the safer side in case I lose network from here.
Okay. Let me know the name, Sukirti. What's the name on that device?
Same, ma'am. Sukirti
Oh,
Ashwin.
all right.
Thanks. Open the door and see if there's more light now. Yeah. It's better now with the door open, right? Is there better light now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, sir. It's much better.
Yeah, that's the next time. And how long is the break between sessions?
Sir, you need a break?
No, I thought you all were saying 1.5 hours
the-
and then a little break of maybe 15 to 20 minutes and then the second one, no?
Sir, actually not. We want to have this in one go is because, then students tend to leave and then they don't come back.
Okay. But
and-
what I'm going to do is the first sessions I'm going to do in this room and the second session I'm going to do in another room. So anyway, I just take the computer with me to the other room.
Yes, so that's not a problem. You can shut your camera for that moment. That's not a problem.
Okay,
That's
okay.
completely fine, sir.
Okay.
So, Kirti, your other device is also in.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Just go. No, both. Yeah. And then water. Oh, God, sorry. You know where we can get that stretch jersey? We cannot get the black. You all have got some little borders with just a fabric. So why don't you just try and get the black thing there?
I'll tell you which black I have.
See, yeah, just check it fast because he cannot get the black, it's closed.
Yogita will by around 12 o'clock. So in case I face any technical problems, then she'll be back up.
Okay.
So Sukriti just introduce with the Sarna.
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't hear you.
Sukriti is someone is backup, na?
So, Kirti sir is asking that you introduce yourself to James, sir.
Sure, sure, sir. So, sir, I am Sukirti. Good morning,
Good
James,
morning.
sir. Yes, I am Sukirti. I am the center head for INIFD South Mumbai and Borivali. I've been with the INIFD team for last 2.5 years by now. So I usually do the moderation for these kind of session, and I also handle the center otherwise.
Where are you based, Preeti? Where are you based?
I'm sorry. I'm based in Mumbai only.
You're in
I
Bombay.
reside in Virar and work in Borivali and South Mumbai both.
Okay.
Yes.
I can't hear anything. Can't hear anything.
So we started taking the students in, and we shall wait till 11:35 or 11:40. Then we can start once we have major the crowding.
It's so light. You usually show the number somewhere. What is this? Where is this?
That is you.
Yeah, I know, but where is you usually show how many people at the meeting?
Participants 400.
Good morning, sir.
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 Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning, sir.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Tell me when I have to
Good morning, sir.
start, because I think we'll have to wait for a lot more children to come on.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good
Good
morning.
morning, sir.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Hi. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
Hello, a very good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Shika, it's unstable, yeah.
Everybody, please mute yourselves. Please mute yourselves. I think we can start. We have maximum students here. Sukirti?
Yes, ma'am. James, sir, are you able to unmute yourself?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so can I start?
I'll start for you, sir.
Okay, fine.
Let me introduce you to the students so that they are aware that who we are talking to. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I am happy to see all of you here, and the number is quite huge. So thank you, everyone, for being present here, first of all. And with us, we have a kind of a celebrity designer with us, and it's like, you know, again, a huge introduction. Even if I go on and on and on, it's never gonna end. He's done so much of work, right? So I'll try myself, you know, try to kind of introduce him as much as possible, and with a nutshell, I can introduce him and his huge work to you. So Mr. James Ferreira with us. So full name, James Christopher Joseph Ferreira, born in 1956. He is one of the foremost Indian fashion designer and founder of the James Ferreira designer label. He was a pioneer in the Indian fashion industry and has collaborated with all major players that shaped the fashion, textile, and media business in formative years. He started his design career in 1976, and currently his unique label that comprise of predominantly Western silhouettes with subtle non-literal infusion of Indian elements, retails in all major stores across India. Early Bollywood stars to current international celebrities like Frida Pinto have also worn the designer's creation. You know, his philosophy is it will end like it began, with a piece of cloth. So Mr. Ferreira's design philosophy is recognizable in his flowing garments, from a weave to drape to a cut, and finally a silhouette, which remains nothing but a single piece of cloth. He is considered a master draper whose garment is predominantly nature fabric, epitomized of the seamlessly unique blend of Western silhouette with Indian craft and techniques. Some of his signature designs have been the double-layered sari that was in 1987, the flared sari pallu, the knit, and the jersey kameez. A lot of his styles were not successful initially, but variations were on to the flood of the market. It flooded the market at the later stage. About his career, if I talk in a nutshell, after completing a course in commercial art at Sir J.J. Art of College and Sir J.J. School of Art and Tailoring course at Sheru Cooper's Academy, he began his career in designing in 1976, as I told you before. It was one of the earliest designer wear boutique in Bombay, catering to the expats and socialites. In 1992, he established a full-fledged production unit and a studio for his namesake label, James Ferreira. In May 2013, he launched a collection of diamond jewelry in collaboration with Gehna Jewelers. The kind of design, consultancy and styling he does is like a long list of big names, So Mr. Ferreira has styled advertising campaign for Pyramid Fabric, Garden Silk, Raymond's, Bombay Dyeing, Parks and Menzonis. He also styled in 1995 Pharma campaign, which was shot by the iconic photographer Steve McCurry. His costume design were seen in Bollywood classics like Shehenshah, Khuda Kasam, Tarzan, and Teri Baahon Mein, amongst other various other movies. Really, there's a long list of the kind of star cast that he has worked with, which also include Amitabh Bachchan, Shobha Dey, Tina Ambani, Smita Patil, Dimple Kapadia, Reena Roy, Aisha Dutt, Jackie Shroff, Rekha, Hema Malini, Sunil Dutt. I can actually go on and on, it's a long list. So really, James sir, we are so excited to have you in this session today, and I'm sure the students will also gain a good amount of knowledge from your this one session. With the kind of experience you come with, please, I request you to depart a little bit possible to our students here. Thank you so much, James sir, for being here, and I welcome you on behalf of INIFD as well as the student body.
Thank you so much. Thank you, INIFD, and thank you all of you all for coming on to this lecture. It's so exciting to have so many people at the same time to talk to, even though I cannot see you. But we must look at the bright side of everything which is happening. And today, I think the bright side is that all of you all can come to my home to hear me speak. And this is very exciting because in normal times, this would not have happened. So all of us are sitting at home, all of us are sitting where we grew up, all of us are sitting where we are comfortable, and at the same time, we are learning, which I think is a very important thing. And I must say, I am really sad that all of you all are living through this time with the pandemic, where there are so many things which we took for granted as children that you all don't have at your disposal now. At your age, I was doing the wildest things. At your age, when I started fashion, there weren't any fashion design schools in India. And when I started fashion, I wanted to be a designer right from the time I was 2 years old. My mom and dad told me stories of how I used to crawl at the back of a bride and touch the embroideries on her dresses. And I have been fascinated by design from the time I've been a child. My mother was a very, very fashionable woman, and every Thursday, which was my weekly holiday, we took a trip to her hat maker and in Santa Cruz, where she made all her hats. where then we would go to Billapala, to Bilatrisa High School, where she would get her gloves made. After that, we would go to Bally's, the Chinese shoe shop in Colaba, to make her shoes. And then we would go to the Jewish dressmakers, Madam Haim, Madam Pope, Madam Goleb, Madam Pompadour, all of them who had very couture studios at that time with the most incredible quality clothes. So fashion has been my life from the time I've been a child. And if my mother did not take me on a Thursday on her trip to everybody, I would throw tantrums and not go to school the next day. I was a terribly spoiled child and I just loved fashion. And I always wanted to be a designer. My father was a sportsman and he was the first graduate to be a hockey player in 1946 or 47. And when he heard that I wanted to be a designer, he said, no son of mine is going to be a tailor. Because at that time, there weren't any designers, you know, in India today. My first inkling of what I wanted to do was when I was reading the Reader's Digest. We were not allowed to read comics. We were allowed to read things which improved our minds. So we only had National Geographic or the Reader's Digest or the Illustrated Weekly of India to read. So when I was reading the Reader's Digest, I saw a tiny little sketch of Pierre Cardin's model with one eye. And from that time, I have always done my sketches with only one eye. And that is when I began this whole crave to be another Pierre Cardin. So when I was finishing school in the 10th standard, I told my father that, you know, well, I want to go and study to be a designer. So he said, I'm really sorry, you cannot do that. You first have to finish your graduation at Xavier's or Jai Hind or any of the other colleges and then become a designer. And I knew I was not going to waste time. So in the 10th standard, at that time, we had the 11th standard, which was the matriculation. I went to my school principal and I asked them if I could take drawing as a subject. Because I know that to get into JJ School of Art, which was the only arty thing for me to do at that time, I needed to have an intermediate and elementary drawing examination result. So he said, no, we do not allow drawing in our school as a subject. I am sorry, you cannot take that in the SSC. I used to go to church every morning for the 7 o'clock mass. And at 7 o'clock mass, I met the principal of another school who knew my parents. And I said, you know, I want to come to your school because I want to take drawing as a subject. So she says, oh, that's very okay. We will allow you to take drawing as a subject, but as long as you get your mom and dad's permission. So I said, of course, don't worry. So when I got my 10th standard results, I forged my mother and father's signature. I got a leaving certificate from St. Xavier's. I forged my mother and father's signature and I got an entry certificate into NMT Academy. And then in the night at about 7 o'clock when we had to come home, I put this on the table and I showed it to my parents. Of course, they were really angry. And my father called the maids. And for 1 year, the maids were not allowed to wash my clothes. So I had to wash and wear my own clothes for 1 year, which I did willingly. So anyway, I finished school with a first class because I got 93% in drawing and art. And then I came to my father and I said, well, you know, now I want to go to college. So he said, okay, let's go to Xavier's, let's go to Jai Hind. And I said, no, I am going to Xavier, to JJ School of Art. She says, if you are going to JJ School of Art, I am not paying for your education. So I said, fine, because I already knew that was what he was going to tell me. So again, I used to be in church every morning. So at 7 o'clock mass, I met this lady who used to give tuition to all the young children below 10 years old. So I enrolled in hers, and I used to get up every morning at 5 o'clock, go to Nepean-Sea Road, give 3 children tuitions from 5:30 to 7:30, finish my tuitions, go to JJ School of Art, which I paid for out of my own money, finish school, go back to Nepean-Sea Road, give 3 more children tuitions, and then come home at 7:30. But I would come home with a packet of cigarettes in my bag, and I would see that I had a beer or something, which I gave the maid. And then after rosary, which we said every night, I would clap my hands and I would call the maid who would come with my beer. And my father would say, what are you doing? How are you smoking? How are you drinking? So I said, well, Daddy, you told my elder brother and sister that I can do anything I want if I make my own money. And since this is my money, I can do what I want. But obviously at that time when you're young, you don't realize the harm you're doing to your body and what you are doing with your independence. So I think it's really very important for all of your children to learn to survive and to learn common sense. I think that is very important when all of you all are in your schools and in your home. Common sense is something which is very uncommon now. We are in the age of Kali Yuga, but I mean, we don't have any common sense. If we had common sense, we would not be spitting in the street. If we had common sense, our cities would not be the disasters they are. We keep saying, oh, the government is not doing this and the government is not doing that. But what are we doing towards keeping our city beautiful and clean? It is in our hands. And you know, you all are such a lucky lot of people. Because even though you all have this pandemic, you all have got something to ask questions. Google is there for you all to ask any question you want and get the knowledge which we never had when we were young. You all can get at the press of a button, you all can see what is the latest collection internationally. You all have so much of information in your hands. But when you get to that information, what do you see? There's very little research done on India. We say, okay, the 5 colors of Gujarat are shocking pink, you know, the bright gulabi, turquoise blue, which is Gujarati. If you go to Bengal, there are the muddy colors of green and brown and orange and beige. If you go down south, there are the neon colors, but mixed with red and white, which is predominantly South Indian. And if you go to North India, you've got that the golden yellow, the turquoise blue, the bright colors of Punjab. But where can we press a button and find out that these are the colors of these different states? There is no research done on India. We have no research on anything available to us. And most of the research is done by international, you know, institutions. There are a few research things being done by NID, but that research is only in the region of Gujarat and Rajasthan. So all of your, the most important thing as being designers is to do research on your hometown, to do research on yourself. Because That is the thing you are selling when you're designing. You're selling yourself. And if you don't know who yourself are, how can you design? All of us have got heroes and influencers. There are, oh my God, you must wear this, or you must wear that, or you must do this. But that is, why do you have to follow somebody else when you have to first get to know yourself and to realize that this is what you are, and this is who you are, and this is who I want to be. Today, if you look at everything, all the models look like each other. You go into Hindi movies, all the actresses are trying to be like each other. You go into music, and everything you get looks like you've heard it before. Because in India, we are not trained to think and to be creative. Look at fashion. In the 80s and 90s, the designers made great use of embroidery. There was embroidery everywhere in the 80s and 90s. And then suddenly in the 90s, going to 2000, embroidery became passé. Nobody wanted too much of embroidery. And then what happened? It became organic fabric. But if you look at the design, it is the same ghagra, choli, kurta, churidar, which our forefathers made 2000 years ago. So where is the work of the designer? What is the designer's signature on that garment to make that garment theirs? Nothing. You go and look at the couture fashion shows of our designers and you put it into black and white. Take out the color, look at the shows every year in black and white. And what do you see? The same thing. It's that same ghagra, it's that same choli, it's that same dupatta. Sometimes it's red, sometimes it's green, sometimes it's pink, sometimes it's black. Mostly embroidery, but a lot of machine embroidery today. Very little hand embroidery and all polyester fabric. What is couture? Firstly, couture is handmade. Now, when you go internationally to Paris or to Italy, couture is when a garment is made 60% or 40%, I'm not sure of the percentage, by hand, and the rest by machine. All their fabrics are made by machine. Look at our country. We can get the most beautiful handmade khadi fabrics. And we have used khadi like a bad word. We have made khadi the poor man's fabric. And when they sell khadi, they are selling it in these small little halls as big fat sales. When khadi is couture, because it is made by hand. And India is the only country in the world which can give 100% couture. Today, when you come to class, we are teaching you how to make, if you go to INIFD, you're taught the American FIT method. If you go to Pearl Academy, you're taught the Notting Hill School of Design method. If you go to Mode Art, you're given the French method. If you go to Marangoni, you're given the Italian method. But what happened to the Indian method? We are not teaching you all to be Indian. Look at the way we dress. We want to wear jeans, we want to wear shirts, we want to wear Western garments. But when the most beautiful things around us are the Indian stuff, when are we going to realize that we do not need to go out of our country looking for inspiration? The inspiration is all around us. We are a strange country. We waited for Madonna to do Mehndi on her arm before suddenly Mehndi became the biggest thing in our country. Before that, we didn't even bother about Mehndi. Why do we need somebody internationally to show us what we have in our backyards? It reminds me of that story by that very famous South American actor about this man who went traveling the whole world to look for the pot of gold. And then after 30 years of traveling and totally disappointed, he comes home and he finds the pot of gold there. This is all of us. We want to learn like the French, we want to learn like the Italian, we want to learn like the English, we want to learn like the American, but we don't know anything about ourselves. I mean, the most important thing in a garment is the signature you cut and you put onto that garment. And this is something you'll have to realize as children. You'll have to learn to cut your own garments. To be a designer and not knowing how to cut is like being an architect and not knowing mathematics. So you're not stupid when you're not wanting this glamour of being a designer and all the stars. My God, no, there's no glamour in being a designer. It's hard work. Especially, I stopped competing in this market a long time ago because I find it ghastly. We have a fashion week which has been around for 25 years, but we still don't have a size chart of India. When you're buying online and you're buying from one brand a size 38, and then if you buy the same size in another brand, there is a difference. Because some brands are doing UK sizes, some brands are doing American sizes, some brands are doing French sizes. And here, this huge country with 2 fashion weeks around for 25 years, those idiots still have not got a size chart. Look at our workers. Are we training backup staff? Are we training our tailors? Are we training our cutters? No. We are not training anybody. The government puts some crores and crores and crores into skill development, but it was all taken away in a scam. And there's no skill development available. So today, I think it's very important for you all to be able to learn to cut and stitch so that you all can train your own masters and tailors, which what I have been doing for the past 45 years. I train my tailors to be masters. And that's the way I go, because as soon as they become master, another designer has taken them away from me and is paying them more. So the most important thing is to get your team around you of people who know what they are doing. And I think today, if you look at the 2 designers who went internationally, rather 3. One was Ritu Berry, who did 1 collection and she was thrown out. One was Manish Arora, who did 2 collections and he was thrown out. And now we have Rahul Mishra, who is suddenly a big fat favorite in the international scene. Manish Malhotra and Rahul Mishra are superb textile designers. They are the best textile designers. Rahul Mishra, besides doing NIFT, also did NID. So he has that whole strength of textiles behind him. That is why his Jamdanis, that is why the work he did in Indo, what's it called? What's that work from Indo called? That weaving? Chanderi. Yeah, all those beautiful things he did is because of his knowledge of textiles. But you look at his shapes. His shapes look like last year's fashion week, the trendiest stuff repackaged again. And then again, there's no Indianness to his clothes. I mean, his latest clothes were these bubbles of frills. It's great when you're doing couture, but you have to realize that there needs to be some connect with your client. You don't expect your client to move around in a fluff of net, however beautiful it may look internationally on the ramp. And you know, we don't realize that when a designer is doing these high fashion sort of statement clothes, behind those high fashion statement clothes are 10, 20 very commercial designs based on that one design. That one design is shock value, which will appear in all the magazines and everything. But the beautiful, saleable, wearable clothes are the effect you get from that one causing the sensation and pulling people to your store, to your site to see the rest of your clothes. And then when you see that, then you say, now that is something I can wear. Today in India, I am sorry to say, we are a land of cows. Everybody wants to do what everybody else is doing. We are not allowed to be creative. You know, the saddest thing what happens to me when I come to class and I teach, and I have been teaching now for 25 years, is that fashion design students don't look like fashion design students. You are your inspiration. You have to see that whenever you go somewhere, people will look at you and say, oh my God, I want what you're wearing. So first start to look at the way you dress. And then common sense. You'd hate polyester because it makes you smell. You hate kids because in the night, your family has a problem when you take off your shoes. You hate body odor and mouth smell because you don't want somebody to talking like that to you with that smell coming out. So whatever you don't like yourself, you must see that you do not do the same thing to others. That is common sense. Another thing is, all of y'all, please invest in one dummy. And keep that dummy in your houses as your pet. And make love to that dummy and play with that dummy and see how you can create new things from that dummy, on that dummy. Because what I will show you today in the next half is how to drape to fit. Now, when we think of draping a sari or draping a dupatta, but draping actually is also how you drape a fabric on a body and get a perfect choli. So besides that, what I am going to teach you today later are just two very Indian things, how to make a choli on a dummy, using the dart lines, and how to create a churidar, use the churidar cut to create contemporary styles. Today, I think there is one book besides that whole thing I was talking about, the dummy. There is one book, It is from the Baroda Museum, the Textile Museum in Baroda. It's the book on Indian costumes and everything where they have. I'll give you the book. From the Textile Ahmedabad. I'll look out for it and I'll show it to you all, because this book has got all the paper patterns, right from a churidar to a choli, to a choga, to a bag, to a hat, to a cape. Everything is in this book. I think this book is your key to the future, because we should be using this book as a Bible, because we are Indian. Because we design Indian. We are not sitting here to design Armani suits. We are not sitting here to design Gautier dresses. Look at India as a country. Today, I always tell my students, especially you girls, when you are walking on the road and when you are traveling in a bus, always carry your dupatta. You wear your skimpy tops in college where people, like-minded people like you, are together. But when you're walking on the road, remember that these men are animals. So please protect yourself and see that you dress according to the occasion. You dress up at a certain time, but when you're going into that is why internationally they always have the cloak and the cape, or that little small shawl, because when they're traveling outside, they cover themselves up. And it's only when they reach a party or something where they remove the outer layer and show themselves for what they're wearing inside. Even today, as a person today, create mystery in the way you dress. And I know all of your young children love wearing stretch fabrics and love wearing sexy clothes. But then you all are wearing sexy clothes and standing like this, with your chest inside and your hands like this. You should be standing like this, proudly. The difference between Indian women and Western women is this. Western women stand with their back straight and their shoulders square. Indian women are forever hiding behind their dupatta and their pallu. That's the way we. First, change your posture. Secondly, all the guys over here, remember that you are not Raja Beta. It is sad that till date, boys in the family are made like gods. And that is the biggest problem we have today, is because when they leave their families, they realize they're not gods. मेरा राजा बेटा जब तू बड़ा होगा मेरे लिए महल बनाएगा. And poor Raja Beti is sitting at home, eating after the sun and looking after the sun. Change that, empower that, insist that you get your rights right from the beginning. Fight for yourselves. And boys, please remember, Raja Beta works at home, but once you come into college, once you go into all these other places, you are no longer Raja Beta. You are just another man trying to make it in this world with so many insecurities because of the way you have been treated through your childhood. So again, please use common sense and think of when you are traveling out into the world, you're traveling into a place where you have to be sure of yourself and when you have to know what you are. Today, another thing I realize about all of your children is you're forever using these beauty products. I would really love you all to do one thing. Go home today, ask your grandmother and your mother for all those beautiful recipes to keep dandruff off, to clean the skin, to remove your hair. India has got the most beautiful beauty secrets. And all of them are handed mother to daughter. Please make a book of these beauty secrets and keep them with you. And the only way we can be Indian is by stop using products which are not Indian. I think that is very important for us as a society. We are not proud of being Indian. Look at USA. Every movie you see that flag of them flying there. They are so proud of being American. Here we are not proud of being Indian. Because today, now suddenly after 60 years, we are realizing that we are proud. So for the last 60 years means that we are not proud of being Indian. If you are proud of being Indian, look at the beauty of India and what they teach you and the scientificness of the Vedas. There is a beautiful way of eating. They say that you eat on the floor, it keeps you slim. Because every time you bend down to take that morsel in your mouth, your stomach is contracting and you're eating less. So there is scientific thought in the way we did everything Indian. But today we have forgotten that Indianness and there is a new pseudo-Indianness which is not Indian at all. This is the book I wanted to tell you all about. It's from the Ahmedabad Textile Museum. It's by the Indian costumes in the Calico Museum of Textiles. And this is what I was talking about. Page after page after page of the most beautiful paper patterns. This book can be bought on Amazon. I think it costs around 3,000 something. But I think there are a few things you'll need to invest in right in the beginning. And invest in knowledge. Invest in buying 3 or 4 beautiful books which will help you through your career. Invest in buying your dummies so that you can start to play and to really design things on the dummy. Another thing I want to tell you all as designers, today when you're not drawing something, as soon as you have done a sketch, please design at the side of the sketch the paper pattern. How are you going to construct that sketch? Because sometimes when we are drawing, and I know it, I mean, it's horrible because you'll draw things which cannot be made. See, this is what I'm saying. If you don't know how to cut, how can you design? So when you design any outfit, at the side of the outfit, you do your neckline, you do your shoulder, you do your dart point, you do where it has to flare out, you do everything. Where will the zip come? Construct the design in your mind while you are designing. Only then will you be able to have workable design. Okay? Please be practical. Never be impractical. It's like when you're dressing up. When you're dressing up, I would suggest you put your earrings, you put your lipstick, you put your chain, you put your bangles, you put your dress, you put your makeup, you put your flowers in the hair, and then you look in the mirror. And what do you have? A Christmas tree. So then remove one thing, remove the other thing. If you're doing heavy lips, keep your eyes neutral. If you're doing beautiful eyes, keep your lips neutral. If you're wearing a wonderful chain, remove the earrings. If you're wearing beautiful rings, remove the bracelet. Keep one thing in your wardrobe, which will be the focal point, which will then draw the eyes to you. So wear something which complements the outfit the best. And that will cause a sensation for you when you go out. Secondly, another thing all of us have to realize is that we do not need as much of makeup as the Western women do. Look at the color of your skin. Look at your beautiful black sparkling eyes. You just need to enhance. The best makeup is when makeup doesn't look like it's put on at all. And when you're putting your makeup and your bright colors and all of that, that is for an evening function, for day you dress properly. But you know, there are different times you put different makeups on. So don't come to college in the morning overdressed. But don't come to college in the morning looking like a science student. Look like you're supposed to look. A fashion design. See that your hair is well kept. Ask your mom if your hair is in a bad state. Ask your mom what should you do with it. Ask your grandmom to create that texture. Instead of going to a stupid beauty parlor and doing some straightening or something, just let your hair be naturally the way it is. Invest in a good haircut. When you're buying clothes, see that when you buy an outfit, when you buy something, whether it's a top or a skirt, can I wear it with something I already have? Can I mix and match it? Or do I have to wear a full set together? Now, another thing in India is that we are so used to doing the full set. Salwar, kameez, dupatta, sari, petticoat, blouse. You know, that way. We need to now mix and match. Sorry. Even these sets. So invest in simple salwar kurtas or invest in plain colors for your bottom, some prints for your tops, unnis, but where you can all make it mix and match it together. So instead of just having, when you're buying an outfit, by adding it to your present wardrobe, you should get another 5 outfits. 5 different ways of wearing the same thing and making it look different. Internationally, see what they do is every season they buy 3 to 4 outfits. And those 3 to 4 outfits, they blend with their old outfits and then they see that they look different. And then they also have the season, the summer and the winter, where here in Bombay and in most of India, we don't have too much of seasons. We are more tropical, we are more resort. We should be wearing what our ancestors wore. Lots of cotton, flowing garments, beauty like that, bias cut garments, dresses which cling and at the same time do not reveal. There needs to be an elegance. Now, if you look at somebody wearing a sexy tight dress like a Kim Kardashian, and if you look at somebody like a Nicole Portman or somebody otherwise who wear beautiful clothes but not vulgar. Forget that vulgarity. Remember that you are living in a very, very weird society. And see that society's rules also govern the way you think and dress. Are there any questions now? Or should I go on for some more time? Sukriti?
Sir, do you want to take a break for some time?
No, why not? If they've got question and answers, let's start looking at that now.
Sure, sure. All those who have any questions, please mark the raise hand option in the chat, in the options given below. We can unmute you. All right. The first one we have is Shubhra. I'm unmuting you, Shubhra.
Hi, sir. The session so far is really amazing. Thank you for all the knowledge. One thing that I wanted to ask you is, you suggesting investing in a dummy. So, where to get a good quality dummy in a student budget, which will give a good sense of proportion?
Can you repeat it for me, Shruti?
So you said that we should be investing in dummies. So can you suggest where we can get good quality dummies, but in a student-friendly budget?
See, you know, in Delhi, there are 2 or 3 guys who do dummies. I will later, after the lecture, I will share it with Sukriti or everything. And there you can get dummies. Otherwise, a lot of institutes sell off their second-hand dummies. So that's another place. Now, when you're buying a dummy, you get these dummies which are nylon, which are very difficult to pin. Yeah, it's really difficult putting the pin in. So see that the dummy has got a felt covering. Yeah, because that is very important. And dummies cost between 3,000 to 5,000 today. I will give give NIFD, INIFD the telephone numbers and the names of the people who are supplying dummies. But my child, go on to Google. As I was saying, you all have got Google. Just say, where can I buy a dummy on Google? We will also give you the information. And this is what I want to tell your students. Don't depend, everybody says, oh, the institute has done this and the institute has done that and we are not told. You have got Google. You want to learn how to cut a churidar? Type Google how to cut a churidar, you get 100 classes. You want to know something to buy, type Google, you get all the information you want. Yeah? So remember, you all have got this as a plus point. You all have got Google and you all can ask questions and you all can get answers. So even now, when you all are going to school or to college, college, before the lecture, please Google what you all are going to be studying. Do a little research. I'm so glad all of you have at least done a bit of research on me before you all have come on to this thing, because that is the way to do it. You know you're going to be meeting somebody, Google that person, find out as much as you can know about that person, so that when you're meeting them, you have a conversation to start. Yeah? So always do Googling. Prepare yourself for a lecture. If you had been with me and if you have researched me, there must have been questions you want to ask me. I get really upset when I go to colleges and I see very few of all ask questions. That's really sad. Okay, anyway, next question.
There is one question in the chat box here with me. It says that you mentioned 4 books that you want the students to refer to. If you could share the names of those 4 books, it would be really great. So it's a request, basically.
I'm not at present. For me, this is my Bible, because this is what taught me how to be Indian.
So you can share it with
I think that is very important. I will share it with all of you all. I will send the photocopy of the book and that one. Then there are the books internationally on draping, which are very important, because there are really nice books on draping. Do not, and I think even all of your students as well as faculty of INIFD, do not invest in forecast books. I know a lot of these institutes are investing in getting these forecasting books. How does it help you? It is only making, I mean, we need to forecast ourselves, and it's so easy to forecast. I think what you really need to do, if you need to forecast, girls, is do your research, go through, the last 10 years of 10 designers who are the top. Then you will see, okay, now this year this designer did green color, the next year 5 other designers did green. Then you will realize that this guy is setting the trend for color. Then you go to embroideries. Okay, now this guy did this embroidery with Meenakari or chicken curry in this year. Now the next year, 2 other designers did the same. That's the way you will find out who is setting trends. When we are buying these foreign books, we are buying foreign books which are telling us the fashion forecast of colors internationally. But does it work in India? No. Because, okay, they are saying this year, they are saying that green and grey are the fashion colors, or last year, and this year I think it's an orange or whatever. But you go to the market, where you're going to get these colors? So why are we interested in unless you're doing export? If you're exporting, then it's very good to have either, if you're, thank you. If you're exporting, then you need to know color forecast or trend forecast. But if you're just working with the local market, I think you just need to look around and see what everybody's wearing and how the new things are happening. And then, you know, the scariest thing about Bombay today and India today is this fascination with the movie industry. I mean, you're obsessed with movies. Oh my God, and those women wear such ghastly clothes. You know, when I did Hindi movies in the 80s. I did Shahenshah, Disco Dancer, Tarzan. Don't ask me the amount of Hindi movies. My first Hindi movie I did was Rocky. And when I did Hindi movies at that time, if I made Shabana a dress, if I made Tina a dress, if I made anybody an outfit, I was paid for it. I never did anything free. So that is why today, when I am asked to dress a star, I am shocked that they want me to give it to them free of cost. I think it's sad, but you know, the saddest thing is that we have to keep up with what is the international trend. Now today I am friendly with a lot of the stars, and I know this one star who was going to Paris for an occasion. Chanel gave her the dress, they gave her underwear, they gave her stockings, they gave her jewelry, they sent a woman to dress her up, and all free of cost. So today, that international trend of the big fashion houses has now started coming. And now today, if I have to design for Sonam Kapoor or Priyanka Chopra, they want it free. And I'm not going to give my clothes free. So that is why, as a designer, I have suffered a lot in these past 12, 20 years, because I am not an ass licker. I am the most honest person. I say things the way I see it. And that is why I'm not part of the big fashion weeks or anything. It's because I tell them that y'all are doing a useless job as a fashion week. Where is there what has the fashion week done for India? They have in fact, if you look at FDCI, you have 12 or 15 designers who are on the panel who are going to, and all their meetings are fighting about who is going to do the next finale and who is going to get the sponsored show. So to be able to, and then actually you all must learn from my mistakes. The best way to really survive in the industry as it is today is to lick ass. Is to go up to all the important people and say how beautiful. That is it. But if you are honest with yourself and if you really love your work, then it's a different thing. Then you want to see that you're doing something different every time. See, for me, I'm not interested in what the design world is doing. I don't take part in fashion shows, but every time I throw my fabric on the dummy, I want to see that I'm doing something new. I want to see that I'm creating something different. Of course, this creating something different doesn't work in a commercial sense. But for me, why did I start the whole thing of one piece of fabric? Today, I take one piece of fabric and by drape and by fold, I can make a garment with only one seam or two seams. I did this because I realized our karigars don't know how to put a dart. Our karigars don't even know how to tailor a straight line. You know, when I was a child, right from the time I've been very young, my mother had 3 karigars upstairs in our bedroom, in one of the rooms, which they made our clothes. So I grew up with Mohan Bhai, our cutter, who would first hand stitch a garment. He would cut the garment and first hand stitch it and give a trial. After the trial, only then did he open that garment. He never used chalk. Everything was done with thread marking. And even though he's worked on the floor and 3 of his karigars worked on the floor, the clothes they made at that time were the blueprint for me to create in the future. And when I started, and when Mohan Bhai died, and we stopped, and he was no longer here, he died at least about 20-25 years ago, I realized that none of these new cutters knew what they were doing. So if you want good quality, you look at, I want to ask you a very simple question. Why does the kurta have a yoke? The kurta has a yoke to cover the dark line. So in that yoke which goes over your dark line, you are taking your dart. So that's why the old kurtas fitted so beautifully. Because the darts were all inbuilt into the cut. Today I find that nobody knows how to cut an armhole properly. See, we should be learning. What we really need to do is collect all our old beautiful karigars and learn from them. Our karigars are the people who should be teaching us, the old, and we are allowing them to die. We are allowing everything in this country to die. We are, even our artisans, what are we doing to them? We give them one Bharatnatna or some other Katna or some other thing, and then we send them back to their villages. Where have we taken the beauty of our handicrafts? And only today a few designers are doing it. But the DNA of our craft, the DNA of our life is here around us. It's not in America. It's scary today when I see Oliver going and drinking a Coke or a McDonald's. It's such ugly food, such bad food. Why are we making an international company richer when we have the best snacks on the road? What can compare with a beautiful hot steaming vada? Or from a beautiful bhel, or from chaat. Look at the beauty we have in our food. Look at the beauty we have in our lives. Look at the beauty we have in our beauty secrets. Another book is, I Must Almond Eyes and Lotus Feet. That is a book written by the Princess of Holkar on the beauty treatments through the season. In summer, they use this. In winter, they use that. And they got some very wonderful beauty secrets in that. So now, please don't buy Sunsilk. And please don't buy all these ghastly things. Right from your face mask, you can make it at home out of Ayurvedic and natural ingredients. So let's start being Indian in these small ways which matter, which then in the end make us Indian as a whole. Any other questions?
So we have around 8, 10, 15 questions in fact.
Okay.
So right now I am unmuting Vaibhavi. So, she can ask questions.
Yeah.
Vaibhavi, go ahead.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Sir, as you said that India is 100% given for khadi clothes, but nowadays it is not in trend. Why isn't it using in a proper manner so that we Indians can prove that yeah, khadi is better cloth in these days to use?
Khadi will always be a trend because there are different types of khadi. Today you go to Gujarat and you see the beautiful jamdanis everybody is using. Today the clothes which most of the designers are using are the jamdani, which is a beautiful 120 weave. It is expensive. Or they are using the double E-cut, which is from Andhra Pradesh. See, we have got how many states every time, okay, you say now this state is out of, is not in trend. Yeah. So look at another state and see what that state is doing in khadi. Now we have got 30 options. We've got Kashmir, we've got Tamil Nadu, we've got Kerala, we've got Andhra, we've got Orissa, we've got Bengal, Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh. Look at the amount of inspiration we have for fabrics. So never think that khadi will ever be out of fashion, because khadi is the fabric of our country. And is this the, see, when everybody says to me, oh my God, what a big population, what are we going to do with the population? Remember, population is hands, which can do handwork. So see that we try to push as much as hand woven, hand embroidery. I love what all the Bori women do all the time. If you look at Bori women and those beautiful Indian things they wear, with those pastel sort of burqas, but they do the most beautiful applique work, they do the small little ribbon work, they do cord work, they do lace work, and it's all handmade. They do it themselves, the ladies. So we need to start doing all of these things. Your mom, your grandmom always had some handicraft in them. Learn it from them. My mother did tatting, she did knitting, she did crochet, she did cross stitch. My mother came from an old school where they thought that girls didn't go and work. They had to be at home. Yeah. So there's lots to go and get from khadi besides one state. So keep shifting and finding different opportunities. Okay. Next.
Thank you, sir. There are a lot of questions pouring in the chat box, as well as there are a lot of hands raised. So, guys, those who are writing in the chat box, we will definitely address to your questions also. First, we'll take the hand raised things and questions, and then we will come to the chat box questions. All right? Yes. Farheen, do you want to say anything? You've been popping up on the screen again and again.
Hi.
Thank you, ma'am, and hello, sir. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I mean, I'm glad. Yes, sir. Actually, I have this question for a long time, and I haven't been getting satisfactory answer for this. The question was like, you have been in this industry since a long time, and how do you avoid plagiarism? I'm a very...
It cannot be avoided. See, once you dress, once your outfit is on the rack, it's no longer your outfit. See, that's the way I have worked right from the thing. That is why I keep looking out for new. Because I know that everything I have done in the past has been copied by every designer, and I have never got nobody has ever said that I was the trendsetter. Because I'm not a very important designer, I'm not part of that big 5 designers who are doing Indian, who are doing bridal wear. I don't do bridal wear. I only do Indian clothes. I'm just starting bridal wear. And what I have realized is there are these plagiarism laws. So if somebody has to sue you for plagiarism, the judge will ask 5 questions. One flower is bigger than your flower, then it's a minus point. Your dress, instead of being in blue, was in red, that's another second minus point. You had a zip on the left side, they have a zip somewhere else, that's your third minus point.
Okay.
They can be ½ inch longer, that is your fourth minus. They have to only find 5 things which are different for you to lose a plagiarism suit.
Okay.
So don't, my way of looking at it is once it's there, it's no longer yours. Which is true, no? Because once I'm selling the outfit, it's my client's outfit. So often in my career, these models, you give them clothes and then designers take the clothes from them and copy it. And there's nothing you can do about it. The only way you can fight plagiarism is by seeing that you're one step ahead. So this is what I love. Every time I know I've been copied, I have to see that I have done something better. And then let them copy it the next time. I feel important. No? That's it.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, any other questions?
Yes. I'll have Zainab Kamle. She's also raising her hand since a long time.
Hi.
Zainab, you'll
Hello,
have
sir.
to mute yourself. Right.
Good afternoon, one and all present here. Myself, Zainab Kamle. I am from INIFD Pune, Kondwa. So earlier you have addressed that how the silhouettes of few designers are still same in different seasons. But as far as the clients are concerned, they don't allow us to experiment more. They are not ready to accept the new cuts, the new silhouettes. So how can we make our creation more and more convincing and wearable for our clients?
Can you repeat that, Sukriti? There's something about it. They're not allowing girls to experiment.
So
Yeah?
what
Yes, sir.
I've asked is basically when she's trying to convince her client to try out some new trends or new cut. So her clients are probably not ready to accept the new things or experiment on a new cut. So how she can manage?
Zainab, that is why I said we have cows. We are catering to a country of cows. If one cow is wearing something, 100 cows will want to wear the same thing. That is why if you have a new idea or if you want to experiment either on yourself or on a family member or on a friend. So once the cow sees that, then they will say, oh my God, I want that. Yeah? So if your client is not allowing you to experiment with somebody all your new ideas. So that that person becomes like your muse. That person becomes like your model. Yeah? And then actually choose somebody who goes out a lot, who knows a lot of people, choose someone like that and say, listen, whatever that girl's name is, I will make you your clothes at cost price if you wear my designs. Yeah? So that way you have somebody as your model. And then once people start seeing people wearing something, then they don't mind following. Okay? Does that answer? Next.
Thank We'll continue with the session and we'll continue with the Q&A after your session. Otherwise, we'll run out of the time, sir.
Okay, so now after about 5 minutes, I'll go to the other place where I will start doing the draping.
Sure, sir.
Thank you all. Love talking to you all. I wish we did this more often, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.
Sir, we will have to continue your session and we will definitely take the Q&A later on. You want to take a break right now? I can't hear you, so you're on a mute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm just moving my computer to the next room so I can show you the draping. Yeah?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
So everybody just be online. Sir is
2 minutes. 2 minutes.
So don't leave the session. Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah. Now can you put it on to me? नहीं चाहिए 5 मिनट अरे अभी आधा घंटा के लिए डमी चाहिए Come. Okay. So today what I'm going to do is teach you how to do a thali, which is the way the old ancient people made the churidar. So what they did is they took a square of fabric. So suppose this is what I have taken today is a 45 inches square kora. Okay. Now what I do is I fold it diagonally. You don't even cut a square. This is not a square. Where is the scissors? See that it's a square, huh? So here I've got my 45 inches square, which I have now made into a diagonal fold. Now what I do, can you just put this? Yeah. So now what I'm going to do now is mark from the center a hip measurement of 40 inches. So that's 10 there. Then what I do is on that mark, I fold my fabric. Correct? So I get it that way. Yeah. Now, this is forming the lifafa. Now I take this point from there and I fold it there. And I take this point on this side and I fold it there. Scissors, pins. Then what I do is on these lines, I first cut this off here. Yeah, and then I join these together. Obviously, this is double, but I open it up into single. And I join these 4 pieces together. And what I get in the end is a lifafa. That's not, sorry. So what I get is this. It's like a cross bag. Okay? Now what we used to do when in the old days is use this to cut your churidar. If you mark it there, your leg, then you go to your thigh, then you come to your crotch, and then here you get the other side. So what you're actually doing is cutting a churidar like that. And now if you go to a tailor today and ask for a churidar, they say, give me 2.5 meters. But if you use the lifafa style, you can cut the churidar in 1.5 meters. Okay? Now what I do with this bag is, for my sari petticoats, I cut them on both sides and I put a nada into one side, and here at the back, I create a slit. So it becomes this really stretchable sari petticoat, which doesn't cause, gathers under your petticoat when they wear those horrible gathered petticoats. So what you get is a very slim petticoat out of this bag. Yeah. Now another thing which I do from this is I cut my neckline over there. Yeah. My shoulder, back and front. My armhole, front, back. And then I get the most lovely dress. So here I'm cutting my back neck first. Cutting my back shoulder. Oh my God, it's not done. Yeah. So first I've cut my neck, the back of it. Then I've cut my back seam, the shoulder seam at the back. Then I cut my back armhole. Then I open it up. Can you all see? So that is my back. So now what I have to do is fold this and cut my front neck. Just push that. And now I am cutting my front shoulder. See, now this is what I have got there with the back cut out. Now I've cut my front neck over there. Cut my front shoulder. shape my armhole, the front, which goes deeper. And then I just cut the bottom. So now what I have is a bias dress. Just put this on. God. So here is my shoulder. And this becomes a fitted dress. I'm sorry, the dummy is very small for this dress just now. But this becomes the most lovely dress to wear just by using the concept of the churidar. Okay? Did you all understand that? So what I want you all to do is now, I make a dress out of this. I have made trousers out of this. I have made t-shirts out of this. I have taken something Indian and I have created a Western contemporary silhouette. But if you look at it, it is totally Indian in concept. And if you look at it, it is totally Western. This dress I put into my collection every year in different fabrics with different belts. And every year I sell out this design. You know, because of the comfort value, because it's bias cut, because it's a simple shift, then you can add sleeves, then you can add your darts if you want. And that's the way you play. Take something basic and then play with it and make it into different things. Okay? The second thing I wanted to teach you all is how to create a choli on the dummy. Then, okay. So now what I'm doing is I'm just taking this small piece of fabric, pinning it onto a fold. It's very small. Anyway, so what I need to do is it's very small, I'm getting a bigger one. But you fold your fabric in half, place your fold on center front. Yeah? Pin. When you are using a pin, see that you put the pin in one side and remove it the other side. Huh? Don't put your pin like this. Because if you put a pin in only on one side, it's very easy to remove it. This one, as much as you pull, it will not come out. Square, chota piece चाहिए. Sorry, 1 minute. Okay, so now I have my fabric for the top. I have folded it in half. I have pinned my center front onto the dummy, keeping 3.5 inches for neckline and a little extra. I then pin it there. I then pin it there. And I then pin it on the center line. Yeah? Now, using my dart line as a guide, I mark my dart line on this here. Yeah. Now what I do on this dart line, just bring it closer and little higher. Yeah. On this dart line, I start putting in pin to keep this in place. Yeah. Now I am now taking my back and putting my center back, keeping a little place there to do my folding for darts. At the same time, at the back, going a bit beyond that and keeping my seam allowance there too. So now here, when I'm placing this, I pull that a little higher so that there is a 1/2 inch difference between the back and the front. Correct? And I pin this here on this line there, the shoulder line. Now I pin my back. Now you have this extra fabric to create your darts. So that's the shaping to get a fitted front. So that's your one dart. Your dart shouldn't be more than 1.5 inches deep if you're not cutting it down. Huh? So here's my 1.5 inches. There's very little to pin. Yeah. Okay. So now I have pinned my front dart and given it shape. Now I pin my sides. Here that can be more extra fabric over your children because here we are cutting it. Yeah. So here again I've taken my dart. on that line, there is a line underneath there on the dummy, which is the seam line. Do your pinning always using the seam line as your guide. Now, the back, you have enough for your back dart. Correct? So now if I mark this now there on my pin line, my shoulder, my neck, my front neck, my shoulder, and then my arm. So when I open this up, I have my basic bodice draft. You know, when you're not being taught drafting on paper, I think it's very interesting if you can do this simultaneously at the same time. So that you all can see that you all can, by drafting, you can also do the same thing by drape and then compare and contrast your results. Yeah? Now, okay, now I'm not going to remove this, but now see what the yoke, the choli yoke is like this and then. So what they did there, instead of taking this dart over there, they took the dart here. So that created your choli yoke. Yeah? So using this concept, you can, using your bust point as your apex, you can create so many different styles. Okay, now if I want to remove this, I draw my line over here. Yeah? Then I pin it there. I remove this pin there. And I take my dart here. I transfer the top dart over here. So I still am getting my shape, but I'm getting a diamond kind of a shape in the center. Okay? So now, you know, just by putting this in another color and by putting this in another color, I have created a very exciting design. Like that, then you can take your dart point there, you can take your dart point there, you can take your dart point there, you can take it there, as long as your dart point is passing through this. And this way you can design such wonderful patchwork tops. So this again is like a choli, no? But now if you're doing the katori, do you know how important the katori choli is? The katori choli is what the bra is made out of. So instead of buying those terrible polyester bras, why don't you all go to your choli wala and make sleeveless cholis out of cotton? And then cut the necklines like a bra top, take that off, cut that small, and you make beautiful homemade bras made to order, made to your size. Do you know the biggest cause of breast cancer is bad bras and the sports bra? Because today they have these bras which are pushing up and pushing together and pulling apart and making it bigger and making it smaller, which is causing lots of problems. The most important thing, why does a choli wala take 100 measurements when he's making your choli? Because he is making a couture choli for you, a choli made for you and your body. So that is why all these ancient choli walas, sherwani walas, churidar walas, they are the masters we have to learn from. Because if we let this go away from us, we are left with nothing. And sadly, we are not bothered about the training. Today, all the embroidery men are not interested in their children becoming embroidery men any longer. Today, our weavers are not interested in their children becoming weavers any longer. But if weaving and embroidery and craft was taught in rural education as well as in urban education, we have the potential to create so many handmade jobs. And if we are talking about a big population, we should be happy and say, my God, look at the amount of hands we have to create beautiful stuff. So let's look at India and let's look at what we say are her problems and make those problems our strong points. And that is the way I think we will create a better India. Okay, thank you. Any more questions? It's so hot here in this room.
Thank you, sir. We will...
Let me go back to that other room because this room is a mess. I'll show you my house at the same time. This is my dining room. I live alone over here because my parents died and my 8 brothers and sisters are all abroad. Then this is my family tree, which my sister did by cross stitch.
Lovely.
This is my family who are in all over the world, Australia, New Zealand, Hong Kong, but nobody here. Now this is my kitchen where I have Pandu, who's been working with me for the past 16 years. Then there's one. Then this is the center room. It's another room for entertaining. Then that's one bedroom there. And a second bedroom over there. And so that is this room. And now let me go back to the room where it is cool so I can talk to you all again. This is my hall and this is my garden. And my workshop and studio is up the stairs. I won't take you all today because we are doing a shoot tomorrow because it's a big mess. So now back I am here where I'm cool and comfortable and I can do questions.
Thank you, sir. And thank you so much for showing your house. It's a beautiful house and I really love the furniture.
Thank you for being here. Shika, close this door.
Oh. So we will take the questions. We'll start with the people who have raised hands since long time. So I'll ask Yashi Gaur to start with her question. Yashi, request you to please start your video also. Yashi, you're ready. Please start your video.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi.
Hello?
If you wear your mask, my child, I won't be able to hear what you're saying.
Good morning,
You're
sir.
alone at home, huh?
Sir, I'm from INFD Jodhpur.
Okay.
I want to
Hi. Sorry. Tell me, what's your question?
How to cut armhole measurements, sir?
What is that? How to cut armhole?
Armhole cutting.
She wants to know how the armhole cutting is done.
See, the tighter the blouse is, like if you look at the choli, the armhole is cut very deep. Yeah, because when you're cutting an armhole of the choli, the most important thing is to see that you have flexibility. Yeah. So the cut of the armhole has to be a little inside the shoulder line for a choli, and it has to go along the armhole line there very deeply, so that the sleeve, the way the sleeve and the armhole is joined together is very important. You have to see that you get the center of your sleeve, the apex of your sleeve at the shoulder line, which usually comes a ½ inch in front. And when you're cutting your armhole, as soon as you cut your armhole, it's very important to give it a kacha silai, because it is a cross bias cut and then the fabric stretches. So as soon as you cut, actually as soon as you cut any fabric, it is very important to give a kacha line on that so that the fabric doesn't stretch. Yeah? So once you give that kacha silai onto your armhole there and onto the sleeve, using that apex point from there and using the bottoms, keeping it there, each of the fabrics have to be eased into the other. You don't pull when you're stitching. When you're stitching, you push the fabric gently into the machine so that it's not stretching. Okay? Now, if you want to see the perfect armhole, again, buy that book and have a look at the fitted angarka cholis and the fitted angarka tops which they have. Yeah? I am sure if you cannot buy it, each of your INIFD centers should have that book and try and get it. Yeah, for all of them to use as a reference book, because it's very important, because the armhole cut over there is fantastic. Next question.
So we have Aishwarya with us. Aishwarya, kindly switch on your video so that we can see you. Thank you.
Hi.
Hi, sir. It's pleasure meeting you. And first of all, I would like to thank you for this amazing session. My question is how we can start. If it will be good if you will suggest some starting point of view as I am the fresher to this stream. So what was the point to remember us and how to start?
The best way to start is to earn while you're studying. So as soon as you finish school, first take a job as a sales girl. Find out what the customer buys. Then take a job as a merchandiser. So then with what you have learned from your customers, you can then buy accordingly.
Okay, sir.
Okay?
Yes.
Once you know what the customer wants, it becomes easier for you to become a merchandiser. Once you have learned to be a merchandiser, go into production. Today, the most highly paid people in the profession are production people. People who do quality control. people who do checking, people who do merchandising. Designers are very few. So first, I would suggest, instead of wasting money trying to start your own business, study with different designers in different places, study and learn and earn. So by the time in 7 to 10 years, see, this is what I've always told my students for the past 25 years. And the only person who laughed at me when I said that was Masaba Gupta. Because Masaba Gupta knew that she had her mother and the whole film industry to help her. So even though she makes the most ugly clothes, she sells. But that's because of contacts. Okay? You need to be very good at what you do before you start your own business. Because remember that starting a business, it's investment of money. And it's very difficult today. You know our economic situation. So the very important thing is in whatever you do, you have to, like how I taught you how to make that churidar in 1.5 meters, you have got to learn to economize. Indians are the most frugal people. We have been saving money for decades. While we have started recycling hundreds of years before the West suddenly realized they have to recycle. We have got our guys who buy our tins and bottles. We have got our guys who buy our paper. We have got our guys who buy your old fabric. We have got a recycling system in place which no other country in the world has got. So make use of all this saving and sort of trying to minimize cost ways when you're working. Like today, now tomorrow I am shooting my collection. I am using a very young photographer. I am using a very young makeup artist. And last week, another designer who is coming back on the scene has used the top photographer, the top makeup artist, the top stylist, and their shooting cost must have been about 15 lakhs. I am doing the same shoot in 2.5 lakhs. But I am getting the young kids involved in my work because I am an old dead person. I need young blood. I need young people. I teach all of y'all because I learned so much from you all. By giving, we get thousands of things in return. So when you are in class, share your work and share your stuff. Don't be possessive. Because as soon as you start being possessive, you stop growing and your mind stops creating. Like I said, once your design is on the market, you have to think of something new. So that means your mind has to be working double. So always keep these things in mind when you're a designer. Okay. Next question.
Before I allow the other one to question, request everybody who's raising their hands, please keep your videos on. That will make it easier for us to even understand your questions. Right now I see Mansi with your video on. So you're the next, please unmute yourself.
Hi, good morning, Mansi.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon. Sir, my question is, even you work with design process, color schemes and everything, or you work in the way you like?
I didn't understand, sorry.
Mansi, can you repeat your questions, please?
Can you repeat your question, Mansi?
She's unmuting.
Yeah. Can you hear me now, sir?
Yeah.
So my question is, even you work with design process, color scheme and all, or you work the way you like? what you follow?
I work the way I want to. I work out of instincts. I do not follow color trends. I do not look at a fashion magazine. I don't try and clutter my mind with things which are done. Because I find that if I look at magazines, automatically when I'm designing, I'm trying to do things like that. I don't look for inspiration anywhere but in my life around me. Sometimes something someone wears, sometimes something someone says, something I see on the road, something I see on my travels. I don't need to go to a quiet place to design. I don't need to go to a special place to be inspired. I think we really need to know that inspiration comes out of your own mind. No? You can see something and you can see it as a painting. But I can see the same thing and I can see that painting inspiring me to do a dress or to do something else. You have to keep your mind, you have to develop your mind and you have to develop your eye. By developing your eye, what I mean is everywhere, keep a camera with you when you're traveling or doing anything. And start through the camera taking out photographs of anything and everything around you. It may be the way a child and a mother are talking to each other. It may be the way there is that lamppost against the tree which is beautiful. We have to look for beauty and find beauty in everything. Beauty is not going to be falling on our laps as an inspiration. Okay. Next question. Thank you.
I'll just read out one question which is there in the chat box. I think this is from a faculty point of view. So a student today doesn't want to get involved in research to create their collections or pattern. They want to create patterns which are easy way out, like surfing Googles in celebrities or DIYs. Can you highlight on this or give your suggestions for this to the students?
See, this is exactly what I'm saying. We must stop this whole we must stop this whole thing of of getting involved with celebrities and influencers. Because so often what the celebrity or influencer is saying, like I have got an influencer who came to my house with a client and she insisted on that client would look really beautiful in silk satin. And the poor client on her recommendation bought about 3 to 4 silk satin dresses, which are very expensive in my shop. And then after 3 to 4 times coming, at the last day, she tells me, you know, I hate silk satin. So you have spent 90,000 on buying 4 dresses because an influencer told you to buy it. And then after that, you realize that you cannot wear it because you don't like it. So again, the most important thing is to find yourself, like I said in the beginning. Look within, find yourself, learn to analyze yourself. It's only when yourself that you can start to design your designs and not something for an influencer. Okay. Next question.
Yes. Deepshika Sen Roy, you can ask your question now.
Hi.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Deepshika. Can you hear me, sir?
Now I can, yeah.
I am from INIFD Court Road, Pune.
Hi.
Hi, sir. My question is that how we can play with different types of colors in textile industry to grow our Indian textiles?
See, the most important way is to look at what our country is offering us. As I said, Look at the traditional garments and the color combinations of those traditional garments. You know, use that as your guideline. Because as I was saying, if you go to Punjab, they have that turquoise blue and golden from that bhangra with that gold quota, correct? Now, if you're taking that same colors and you're trying to sell it in Bengal, it will not sell. Because Bengal has got more that dark green, red, all those colors there. So we need to, as I said right in the beginning, immerse ourselves in our traditions and in our fabrics. We need to learn from them. Look at the beautiful ways in Kashmir, all those different color threads come together. Look at the white on white from Seva, Lucknow, from the chicken curry. How just white on white can be a fashion statement. Look at the black, beautiful burqas people are wearing and the way they enhance it with certain embroidery. Look at the pastel burqas of the Khojas, I think, yeah. The Khoja Muslims and how they embellish it and the colors they use. See the colors when you go to, look at the traditional Rajasthani beautiful outfits. Where there is no color in the scenery, they have made the color happen in their clothes. So if you're in a desert, from miles you'll see that red or beautiful gagra from far away because of the color. And one thing we have to realize that if black is the international color of what they like as common, white is the Indian color for us. Because of our white is a very important color, and every collection I always make black and white because these colors sell the most. Black in an urban situation because a lot of people want to blend into the background. And white because of the cleanliness and purity and coolness you feel when you wear white. In our country, we need colors which do not attract and keep heat, but which, what is it called? They reflect light and heat away from the body, keeping us cool. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Next.
We have Saranjeet Korgil.
Hi.
Saranjeet, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Hello, sir.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Sir, I just want to know कि मैं इंडियन कल्चर के ऊपर काम करना चाहती हूँ. I just love Indian culture. तो हम इसे इंटरनेशनली कैसे लेके जा सकते हैं आगे?
See, you have to take out, if you're taking an Indian outfit internationally, you have to make it more contemporary.
Okay.
Okay. Now, we love color in India. They hate color in the West.
Okay.
They like neutral colors. They like grays, they like beige, they like pastels, or they like dark colors, like purple, navy blue, black. These are the colors they would use there. So first is take out, you take away the color from your ghagra cholis a lot, and you then, obviously, it becomes more international. Secondly, internationally, they don't want too much of embroidery. Embroidery is supposed to be on a garment only to highlight a cut.
Okay.
So that is why our cholis and our ghagrat, our kurtas have embroidery on the yoke. Because that is where the eyes of the person are drawn on. Yeah?
Okay, sir.
So embroidery has to be in a very few places only because there is something interesting and you want a person to look at that thing. As soon as you put all embroidery all over, it just loses its charm, and they do not like wearing things like that. And if they do all embroidery all over, it's like a chicken curry, white on white, or it's a simple color and color monochromatic sort of combination. Yeah?
Okay, sir.
And another thing is, if you're taking your things internationally, because of the cold, nobody likes to show their stomach. So obviously, instead of a small choli, I would suggest like a jackety choli so that they are covered. Now, if we use clothes which are loose and floating, they use clothes which are tight and making them feel comfortable in the cold. So floating dresses are not going to work internationally unless it's in the summer months. Yeah? So keep all of these things. Climate is very important when you're doing an international collection, and shape of the garment is important because of that. Everything, whether it's in India or it's abroad, has to be based on comfort. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Next.
Thank you, sir.
Don't mention it.
Then, sir, one more question is, I'm interested in sketching.
In?
Sketching.
Fashion. You mean illustration? Yes,
Very interesting, because see, that's another thing where you can make a lot of money on. See, you know, they say that when we when we draw our first croquet, we are drawing ourselves.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, but now you have to see, look at the beautiful different ways of sketching there are today. There are these international sketch artists who just do it with watercolor. The Indians are more elaborate in the way we design because of the embroidery and the embellishment. So you have to create your own sketching style first.
Okay,
That
sir.
is why every time I say is find yourself, find out who you are, because it's only when you find out who you are will you be able to put that on paper. Okay?
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Can we move this? For all those who are insisting on, asking questions, please let me tell you that we would like to also give a chance to other students who have yet not answered our question. So kindly wait for your turn. So next is Shanaya Patil. Shanaya, are you there?
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes, please answer.
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. So actually, my name is Saloni Patil. I just logged in with someone else's account. I am from INIFD Koregaon Park. I just wanted to ask you that I'm so much into Indian culture and embroidery that I realized after my year's diploma. And I would like to explore more. I just searched for many designers and all, but I didn't get those designers where I can explore more Indian side of the industry. Like there are many, but those are very high recommended designers. It will be the great help if you give me some of the persons or people who will teach me the more side Indian cultural side of India. I don't mind if I get a penny or if I get a 10,000 rupees internship.
I didn't
I
understand
just
the
wanted to learn
question.
that
Sorry.
deep side of the.
Saloni, I'll repeat your question for you. Sir, she's asking, first of all, she's very much interested into Indian culture when it comes to fashion. So she would like you to suggest some names whom she can maybe follow on digital media and learn more about Indian culture and the fashion which they are creating. Am I right, Saloni?
Yeah, but I just want, it's like I can follow the people on internet, which I just want to meet them personally and just, it's like I want to work with them so I can get the physical knowledge of the work that they actually do. Because I know the internet side of the thing, I have seen those things, but I have never worked with those people who can teach me those things physically. I don't mind if I get the internship or something from them. I just wanted to learn that if even if I get the work as a worker over there.
All right. She wants to work with some designer who is more into Indian culture. So if you could suggest some names who are ready to take interns, she would like to work with them.
See, the ones who are doing really, really great Indian clothes are the Delhi designers. You know, the designers in Delhi are doing some very interesting Indian clothes. And I think there, and then also it depends on, see, like Calcutta has got its own strength because the karigari in Calcutta is the cheapest. So today, like in Bombay, I am paying an embroidery man, say 500 rupees a day. In Delhi, they are paying that same man about 400. In Lucknow, they are paying that same guy 300. And in Calcutta, they are paying the same guy 200. So it depends first on what type of Indian garments you want to make. Are you interested in weaving, fabric, or are you interested in embroidery? First, find out all of these things because every region, as I said, has got their beauty. Embroidery is very good in Lucknow and in Calcutta. Weaving is superb in Bhuj in Gujarat. Yeah? Calcutta, Kerala is fantastic for their cotton. But if you go down south, you will see that there's very little embroidery in anything they do. In fact, in down south, the most important thing is a Kanjivaram sari, which is the way the gold is woven into the sari. Now, if you look at Maharashtra, the Paithani is the most important one. Yeah. So it all depends on what part you are interested in focusing on. I think as a beginning, you start with where you are. Where are you studying? In which city are you? I can't hear, my girl.
I'm in INIFD Koregaon Park, Pune.
You're in Indore?
No, Pune.
Which city do you live in?
Right now, I am in the Maharashtra only, but I studied in INIFD Koregaon Park, Pune.
I didn't understand, sorry.
I'll just type
the
it
voice
over
is
here.
breaking. Yeah, tell me.
I'll tell this, Saloni. She is in Maharashtra and she studied from Koregaon, Pune. INIFD Koregaon, Pune.
Ah, okay. So see, now in Maharashtra, in our city, it's the worst. I mean, in Bombay. You know, there's nothing really beautiful when it comes to traditional work in our city. But there is a beautiful place called Artisans Gallery, there is Baro, there are a lot of people who are concentrating now on traditional wear. So I think what you need to do is first, when you want to intern, find out which place you would like to learn about the most. And start with that which is your interest. Firstly. Secondly, I said learn cutting very importantly. Even if you have to go for extra cutting classes or you go on to Google and you learn how to cut everything yourself. Start cutting your own clothes and wearing your own clothes first.
I recently started cutting my own clothes and
That's the biggest thing. Next time, see that you do your hair properly. Yeah? See that you dress up properly. Start becoming a designer right now. In the way you dress up, in the way you hold yourself, and that in the end will help you even when you go for a job interview.
Okay.
If you go for a job interview with oil in your hair, they're definitely not going to think you're a fashionable person. So always see that, and that means don't buy too many clothes. You have to realize that firstly, I want all of y'all to thank God for where you all come from. In Bombay and in India, we have this problem of always looking up and seeing all of us want to be as rich as Mr. Ambani. We don't realize that when we look down, we see so many people with no shoes on their feet. We see so many people with nothing at their disposal. So first, each of you all, thank God that you all have families who can afford to give you all this education. And make the most of it. Push yourselves. Don't ask for too much of investment from your parents. Next time you want to make something, recycle your mom's old sari. Ask your nani if she's got old saris where you can use to make outfits of. Start to use things which are around you, and if you can take something old and make it into something new, it will give you so much of excitement, and it will cause such a lot of excitement in your family. Because we know that it is out of frugality, out of having nothing, that the best designers are born. Sometimes when a designer has got too much, they don't look and they take everything for granted. We must never take anything for granted, and we must thank God for everything He gives us. Okay? Next.
Thank you. Next is Sama Khanna. Yes.
Hello, sir.
You'll have to-
Yeah. Hello, sir. It's great pleasure I can talk to you.
Hi, good
Sir,
afternoon.
hi, good afternoon, sir. So you mentioned three things like we live in the land of cow, people follow the influencer and the Bollywood people. Basically, what we face in the daily life, we see the clients, those who wanted to look like the influencers, they wanted to follow other people. So how you as a designer influence them? How you influence them to follow their own style instead of following the people who are using filters and who are just showcasing themselves in a different way.
Can you repeat it? I'm sorry, I'm gone here.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask that how you influence your client to follow their own style instead of following the influencers.
Influencer. Because you have to be the catalyst. You have to set the example. And as I said, if you cannot get your client, get another person who you know and influence that person. Start being an influencer yourself.
Okay.
When you're showing something to your client, don't say, I think it will look good. This is going to look fantastic on you. But be honest always.
Okay.
Don't make your client wear something where she will look like a fool. Because if she looks like a fool, you are going to look like a fool. Correct?
Yes, sir, definitely.
So be honest in whatever you're doing with whatever client. If she says that she wants to make it, I want to do what this one say, but I'm really sorry you don't have that figure. Or you're not that same color. This color will suit you much better. You know, and you have got internet to show her examples, you know, of see, this is better than that is better. You all are so good at doing all these things now. So learn to use the internet and learn to use and be honest. Today when a client comes into my shop, I am very honest with her. She may try and love a dress which costs 1 lakh. But if I feel she doesn't look nice, I will say, I'm so sorry, take this one. I know it costs only 20,000, but it looks better on you. Remember that a happy client is a client for you forever. Remember, if she feels good wearing your clothes after she has taken on your advice, she will always come back to you. Yeah? So when you're working with a client and if she says that she wants to wear that, but you say, but why should you be wearing it when you don't look the same?
Yes,
Correct?
sir, absolutely. Yes, sir.
Okay, next.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank
My
you.
pleasure, child.
Next is Shubhra. Shubhra, you'll have to keep your video on. Shubhra, Harshita, Lahar, everybody, please keep your video on. Thank you. Go ahead.
Hi, sir. The session has been really wonderful and
Thank you.
I have knowledge from you. I have 3 questions. So first one is, you mentioned that there is no Indian size chart, though there are standard UK and US size charts. So how does an Indian body differ from the standard US and UK size charts?
See, there are 3 types of Indian. One is Aryan, the Aryan body, the Dravidian body, and the tribal body. So the Aryan body is more the North Indian. Tall, long limbs, broad chest, strong faces. Dravidian are the South Indian. Short, big hips, fuller breasts, stumpy. And then there are the tribal, which are very different from these 3 things. So what really we need in our country is 3 size charts, not just 1. Because, I mean, you know, the bust point differs in every size chart. The width, everything is different. So we really need to start formulating size charts for an Indian silhouette. Now, the Western silhouette is more the Aryan silhouette, which is the North Indian silhouette. And that is why, now see, if you look at the salwar, it looks nice on tall people. But if you're a shorter person, the churidar looks much better. Remember, when you're creating a silhouette, to always try and create a V-shaped silhouette. So the top is bigger, coming down to a point in the bottom, and that will give you height. Now, if you put a salwar onto a short person and that stumpy kurta, she'll look like she's being chopped out. But if you put a churidar onto a short person, it will obviously, because you're taking it to a small point at the bottom, it will automatically give her height. Yeah, and that is why they love to wear the sari. Now, if you see the way they wear the sari in South India, it's always pulled tight so that it becomes narrow at the bottom. Correct? Now, the Gujus wear it like it's like a jabla. It's like blom, 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 and they look like potatoes in the air with that Guju style of wearing the sari. Then the Bengalis wear their sari the most beautifully, and that's the traditional way we wear the sari. But do you know that there are 108 ways of wearing the sari? And all we know are 5 to 6 ways. So here's another thing for you all to research on how many ways you can wear the sari. Yeah? Right. And the size chart, it's really important that you get your own size, figure it out when you take your clients. Because every time you're taking a client, it becomes like research towards something. And by the end of it, if I look through my measurement books, I can automatically get an average size, right? So it will all come with experience and with working. Okay.
So the one more question, two more questions I have. When you look at a garment, what truly makes a good fit? What truly makes a good cut?
A good fit is something which doesn't crease on the body. Like if you look at sometimes the dresses, they start to pull around the stomach or the hip. That is why when you're making an outfit, there is always that ease. You have to allow 1.5 inch easing. Correct? When you're cutting a choli or when you're cutting a blouse or a skirt, you keep that extra easing so that the garment fits on the body perfectly.
Right.
A good fit is not a tight fit. A tight fit is the worst fit because then it causes, every time you sit, now look at my shirt. I put on a bit of weight, so I'm having a lot of problems. Every time I'm sitting on this thing, it's creasing up. Yeah? So now you have to look at every design for what the design, there are some designs which you need a very fitted thing. So for that very fitted thing, there is a small ease of 3/4 to 1.5 inches. But if it's a loose fit, then you're looking at an easing of at least about 7 to 8 inches. So according to the structure of the garment, you have to keep your fit. Okay. Like most of them, we have the drawstring on the nada for the waist because then it becomes freestyle. And the biggest problem in India is everything of ours is becoming free size. You can wear the sari when you're 28 chest and then you can wear the sari when you're 68. So all our clothes allow women to become fat and fatter. Now the best way to keep yourself slim and to know if you're putting on weight is to get a pair of jeans and a fitted shirt. So then every time you put your jeans, you use that as your barometer. Oh my God, I put on weight. Oh my God, I've lost weight. So keep 2 or 3 fitting outfits for yourself to be able to know what is happening to your figure. Because this is what happens to Indian women when they get married. Till they get married, they will keep themselves slim and slim and slim. And then after they get married, they become like balloons as though, oh my God, now what do I have to do? I'm married now, there's nothing else. But remember that there's a lot of life after marriage today, especially in the nuclear family. Today, most of our parents are 2 parents earning rather than 1, right? So we have to learn that the whole role of a woman has changed from the time of our parents and our grandparents to what it is now. Okay.
So one more question. So you showed us that technique where you folded the square and you had folded the corners and then you created churidar and all out of it. So it's on the lines of zero waste cutting that is getting very popular these days. So is there any book that you can suggest which will follow on the technique that you showed?
See, what I do is I work with fabrics, the width of the fabric according to the body size. So when I'm working with a bigger person, I like to take a 60-inch panna. So then I can work better with that body size. And then I find when I'm working with a small woman, if I take a 58, if I take a 60-inch panna, I'm wasting too much of fabric. So everything you do has to be according to your design. And I see that I do not waste one scrap of fabric. And that is the Indian way of doing it. If you look at all those paper patterns, all the paper patterns I have shown you in that book are zero waste. And what we do is with all those small remnants, They make the design of those triangles on a blouse, or they make pom-poms, or they make bias ribbon, or they make something, or they make patchwork quilts, and we reuse all our fabric. So right from the beginning, start to try and work with a zero waste policy. Okay. I don't know if it answered your question.
So you have answered all my questions very well. One last request, sir. Have you considered writing a book to share the immense knowledge that you have, so that students like us can read the book and?
I am dying to write a book, but you know, I think after looking at all our country and the people are writing books for no reason, that our foreign minister, after 1 year as a foreign minister, has written a book. Our governor has written a book on being a governor. Abu Sandeep have written 2 books. Sumit Chopra has written 3 books. Everybody is writing books and books and books, but what do you learn from that book? Nothing. I want to do new things. If somebody is interested enough to write a book on me, they'll have to come and take my stories down, because I have no time to go into the past. The past is there for us as inspiration to where we go, but otherwise the past is dead for me. After I have finished something which I have done, there is so much more to look forward to. I have edited magazines, I have worked in Hindi movies, I've worked in theatre, I've worked in export, I've worked in retail. I worked for 3 years on an organic farm. I worked on everything possible, because one thing I realized is that as a designer, we have to look at everything around us to be good designers. The biggest problem I had when I was a child was I thought because I wanted to be a designer, I only had to look like towards design. And then I find myself being stifled as a designer. I need to know what's going on in the world. I need to know what are the new trending movies. I need to know what's happening everywhere, because everything, design is a lifestyle thing. It is being influenced by all these different things. Now, as soon as the economy goes bad, then you will see that design becomes the norm. You know, and if you look after the war in 1940s and everything, 1950s was all about masculinity, fate, straight clothes, military clothes, because they had been through that. So, to be a good designer, you have to have your perception 360 degrees. You have to look at life 360 degrees. Okay.
Thank you. Since we are running out of time, we have another 10 to 15 minutes maximum. We can not take all the questions, so we definitely, I'd like to apologize beforehand if we are missing out on your questions. Also, please try to stick to one question so that the other student get a chance to have another question. All right. Right now, I am unmuting Shaheen Parveen. Please ask your question, Shaheen.
Pardon, I'm sorry, I didn't get you.
A very good afternoon, sir. It's me from Shine Praveen from Siliguri, INIFD.
Hi.
Hello, sir. So I wanted to ask you, what is exciting to you about this fashion industry, and what are the challenges we can face?
See, the fashion industry is the worst industry to be involved with. Because if you looked at that Halston movie, did you see the Halston movie on Netflix on the American designer? See, you must look at all these things. You'll have to keep yourselves, you know, internationally aware of what is happening. Now, Halston, it's an industry full of bad habits. There's sex, there's drugs, there's booze, there's mad parties, there's everything possible in fashion because it's the glamour world. So to enter fashion industry, the most important thing is to keep your head tightly screwed onto your head. Don't get into, it is very easy to be pushed into glamour situations where morals are very low and all these things which are not nice. The most important thing is to keep your family values together. Remember, again I'm saying, remember who you are, remember where you come from. What is happening today is people are trying to make lives which are totally different from what they are. They're trying to portray themselves as something which is totally different, and that is why so many Indian designers have crashed. Because they get involved in the whole excitement and the glamour of being a fashion designer. But fashion designing is not a glamorous profession. It's hard work. And you must realize that the most important people in the fashion designing are your family and your workers. They are the ones you need to work for and take up. Today we treat our workers very badly. I didn't want to do fashion weeks because they don't like our workers to come and see the fashion weeks. They don't allow people of that class to come into these shows, and that for me is sad. Because you see, for 6 months these tailors are working with me making a collection. And then when I'm showing the collection, they're not allowed to be there to witness it. We have got this very bad problem of us and them. They are different from us and we treat them differently. We have to realize that they become a part of our lives. And that is the most important part of the fashion industry. It's not the glamour, but it's the hard work behind. It's the people who are doing and picking up your thread and stitching your outfit and doing your embroidery. Those are the most important people in your life. Not an influencer, not a celebrity. I have had the biggest fights with my clients if they disrespect my workers. That is one thing I will not take from any client. So you have to see that the people who work for you are willing to give their lives for you because they love the work. You know, for me, it's so exciting when I'm working because my tailors get so excited when I do something new. You should see their faces. They get so bored doing the same old production stuff. We have to instill this in everybody around us. And we have to instill this. The first thing I do in a workshop is I sweep the floor myself. We have this very bad habit in India that is below us. It is menial work. We need somebody to carry our bag. We need somebody, look at the rich men. We need somebody to open the door, carry their briefcase. Why? We can become slimmer. Look at the Japanese people. The Japanese people are slim and there is no fat Japanese people because from the time a Japanese child goes to school, he has to clean the school himself. The Japanese kids clean their school, clean their bathrooms, do their gardening and study. Very few people in Japan have maids and ayahs and manis and bangis like what we have. Even in the West. My brothers and sisters in Australia have to clean everything themselves, do everything themselves. They've got hard lives. But we are lucky till now that we still have people who depend on us. But it is these people who depend on us that we have to keep happy to be able to be successful. Okay.
Yes, sir. So one more thing, if client gives you a harsh like a commitment, what do you do? If your client give you a harsh comment,
You have to realize that the client is always right. But you have to also be strong enough to tell them in a very firm way that no, I'm so sorry, this is not going to look nice on you, and if you don't want my advice, you are welcome. But I am telling you that I am making that, and honesty is the most important thing with clients. You know, so be honest with all your clients, and you will have them forever.
okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. It's a
And now I think
pleasure.
I must stop because my voice is paining.
Yes, sir. We can imagine, sir. Like, wow.
Yeah, because it has been, I mean, it is long, and actually I'm very old, I'm 65. So, but thank you all. It was such a wonderful. Hi, Amit. It was such a wonderful session. Y'all are very blessed. Y'all are lucky. Thank the pandemic so that y'all could come to my home.
Yes, sir. Actually.
And always look at the bright side. Always see, like my parents always told us, never ask for too much, just make the most of what God has given us. And if we can do that, I think we will be better people. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir.
My
It's
pleasure.
a pleasure
Thank
having
you
you.
very much. Sorry. I'm
No,
tired.
sir.
Bye.
Bye-bye, sir.
Bye.
Sweetheart, can you mute yourself?
I must say,
Thank you.
you'll.
Bye.
Bye-bye, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mute yourself, darling.
Bye, Sukriti. Bye.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. You have given all the answers in a descriptive way that I'm sure all those others who missed out on asking questions might have received some part of answers from the questions in these.
Thank you.
So,
and if there's anything you all need to know, please, any head of department, write down a letter with questions and I will answer them. Yeah?
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you all.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye. I have shared James sir's Instagram link with all of you in the chat box. Please follow him and you might get a lot of questions answered there in his designs.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Bye. Thank you.
All those who we could not answer your questions, apologies from our end, but we are trying to, do something for you. So please share your questions with your center head, center manager. They can share the questions with us, and we will definitely try to get some answers for you. All right. Somebody asked for the link again. I am sharing that again here. There. For all those who kept their answers in the chat box, I'm sorry I did not get a chance to question him. We have to understand he is a little old, so he cannot, stay for so long. So we'll try and answer your questions also. Please send these questions to your center heads so that they can then, in follow-up, they can send it to us and we can try to get some answers for you. Thank you.